Byron York. You see him on Fox News as a contributor. You can read him at the Washington Examiner. He's the chief political correspondent there. Good morning, Byron. How are you?
Good morning, Dwayne. Doing well, thank you.
So I want to start with a subject I haven't talked about yet. I've been kind of saving for you, which is this mysterious and quirky and odd story about the missing F-35 in North Carolina. You've been kind of following this. What are your thoughts about this? Kind of catch people up about what we've learned or not learned so far.
Well, we had this bizarre news yesterday, Monday, that the military had lost an F-35, and they were asking for the public's help in finding it. And this had happened in South Carolina. And as it turned out, the plane's pilot had ejected. We later learned that the pilot landed on a residential street in North Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, and then all day, and this had happened on Sunday, okay, so we're finding out about it on Monday. All day Monday, it's like, where's the plane? Could somebody please call us? And there were lots of jokes about, can you punch the key fob and maybe the lights will come on in the plane or something?
Right.
You could
it's like
find it.
Losing it in the parking lot, right?
Yeah, this is an $80 million top-of-the-line U.S. fighter jet. So by yesterday evening, we hear that debris has been found in a field, in a farm, in rural South Carolina, about 80 miles away from where the pilot had ejected and landed. So you think to yourself, how did it get there? It's about 80 miles away. Did it just fly straight and crash? Maybe it curled around. Maybe it wandered around before it crashed in this place. Who knows how long it happened? And we're seeing absolutely no transparency at this point. The military has said there was a, quote, mishap. Well, obviously the plane flew, even if it flew straight, if it flew for 80 miles before it crashed, after the pilot, without a pilot. So the Marines, it was a Marine plane. Right. The Marines have now put a 2-day stop on all of their aviation. The purpose of which we don't really know. They want to talk about safety. Now, did the pilot make a mistake here? Is there some big problem with the F-35, which was a long and troubled and incredibly expensive project? What's going on here? And also the idea of ejecting from this rather large jet aircraft over a heavily populated area. North Charleston, South Carolina is a big place. And then, most pilots, would do almost anything to avoid ejecting out of an airplane over a populated area. And by the way, the ocean is pretty close.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Why can't you at least try to lean it turning east and eject it over the ocean?
Exactly. The ocean, we've heard about Charleston Bay. It's on the ocean.
It's right there.
So you could, take a right, and you could dump the plane in the ocean. So I mean,
Captain Sullenberger at least found the Hudson.
Yes. There's just a lot of questions. Is this a plane problem? Is this a pilot problem? What went on? But you got to admit, this is a really strange episode in which the United States military is asking the public for help in finding our F-35.
It's not a good look. Also not a good look is another story I think you've been kind of following a little bit, which is the best defense is a good offense if you are the son of the president. Hunter Biden is apparently now suing the IRS. Byron, what is this about?
Yeah, well, as you know, some of the whistleblowers who came to the two IRS whistleblowers who came to Congress, I mean, they really helped blow this case open. I mean, they really gave us chapter and verse on how the Justice Department interfered with the IRS investigation on Hunter Biden's behalf and frustrated the effort to actually make a case against Hunter Biden for felony tax evasion. So that was a big deal. And the Hunter Biden people kept saying, his legal team kept saying, this is absolutely illegal. You can't publicize a person's tax returns. And the fact is, the IRS, the two whistleblowers, kept a lot of Hunter Biden's tax information confidential. But through the committee, the House committee, they did discuss some of this because there are specific laws that allow whistleblowers to discuss this. So the question is, do you believe these were legitimate whistleblowers? And I just don't think there's any argument. I mean, they were coming forth with information about how United States agencies, in this case the Justice Department,
right,
was frustrating a possible criminal indictment of a taxpayer because that taxpayer was the president's son or a presidential candidate's son. So, you know, it's a pretty legitimate area for whistleblowers. But Hunter Biden's legal team, they're just throwing everything they can at the wall and see if something will stick, because he is in such a worse place today than he was on that morning when he went into court in Delaware and thought he was going to sign and get approved a plea agreement that was basically
get the sweetheart of all sweetheart deals, right?
Yep.
The Washington Post has a piece that you tweeted up on X today, or re-X'd on Twitter, or whatever we say these days.
Yeah, re-X just doesn't cut it, does it?
It doesn't have the same ring to it. Anxiety ripples through the Democratic Party over Biden. Interesting piece. There is a growing chorus. It's kind of a growing whisper in the Beltway. You're there. A couple of weeks ago, Hugh was putting his chips on Candidate Casino 90-10. Biden ain't going to be the nominee. And you were on that same panel, and you were like the more conventional approach. Are you kind of shifting your position on where you put your chips?
The opposite. I was just the opposite. Like 90-10, Biden will be the nominee because, and I'm still there. But you're right. You're seeing lots of pieces about how nervous Democrats are whispering to each other, Biden's too old to be president. Like, that's news. So the question is, can they blast him out of the Oval Office? And the answer is it's really, really hard to remove a president of your own party from the ticket from running for re-election. I mean, we've seen primary challenges long ago in the past. I mean, Teddy Kennedy tried in 1980 with Jimmy Carter, who was an extremely unpopular president. He couldn't do it. And so it's very, very rare that you have primary challenges. And you got to say, Joe Biden has been very, very effective in keeping Democrats, at least publicly, officially, on his side, and in stopping any big primary challenge from happening. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is stuck at around 12% in the polls.
Right.
He does represent people, I think, Democrats who just don't want Joe Biden to be their nominee. But
is there a poll out there, or a poll spread in a poll that the left would respect? Is there a delineation point where they would pull the LBJ letter on the resolute desk option?
No, see. You have to remember all these polls. First of all, you see a lot of polls that say Biden is too old to be president, and the AP poll last month was very influential. 77% of Americans, including, I believe, 69% of Democrats, said that Biden is too old for another term. So that's a big deal. And then you see all these polls saying that some large majority want a candidate other than Biden to be the party's nominees. Majority of Democrats want somebody other. But you never see a poll saying majority wants Gavin Newsom to be the nominee other than Joe Biden, or Gretchen Whitmer to be the nominee other than Joe Biden. What Biden has done is that he has managed to keep this inchoate desire for another candidate in co-ed, and no candidate has amassed specific support to challenge.
10 seconds, real quick, Byron. Joe Biden's giving a speech to the United Nations General Assembly today. What's the over-under on how many gaffe clips that we will pull out of that for tomorrow's show?
I'll go with 3.
See, I'm at 6 or 7, but that's just me. I'm a producer. Byron York of the Washington Examiner. You can read everything Byron writes and follow him on Twitter, or X as we like to call it now, at Byron York.